My name's Ketrin, and until just a few nights ago, I honestly thought my family cared about me. It all kicked off with a simple ping on my phone, just a regular notification. My aunt had sent over a video. I was in the middle of making dinner when my phone buzzed. I dried my hands on a towel, picked it up, and without really thinking, tapped on the message. I figured it was something silly, maybe an old family clip she came across and thought I'd get a laugh out of. But then I heard my mom's voice. She said, "Ketrin should be grateful. She'd be nothing without us." My heart sank. The video was kind of shaky, like someone had set the phone down without realizing it was still recording. But the audio? It was perfectly clear. Then my dad chimed in, laughing a little as he said, "Ketrin's a failure, pathetic, really. But at least she's useful. She pays the bills." I tightened my grip on the phone. I could hear laughter in the background. Then came the voice of the same aunt who just sent me the clip. With a smug tone, she added, "If Ketrin ever stops sending money, we'll just guilt her into it. She's too soft to say no." I felt frozen. Numb, really. They were talking about me. Not some made-up scenario. Not a joke. They were flat out talking about me. I'd spent years helping them, covering rent, paying off their debts, giving up my own financial stability just to make sure they never had to go through hard times like I did. And that's what they really thought of me? I was still sitting there, thumb hovering above my phone screen, completely stunned, and just like that, the video disappeared. A message popped up. "This message has been unsent." I stared at it, and it hit me. My aunt must have realized what she'd done. She panicked and tried to erase it, hoping I hadn't seen a thing. I should have called her out right then. Should have picked up the phone and told them I knew everything. But instead, I just put the phone down and acted like nothing had happened. That was the moment I made up my mind. I wasn't going to react, not yet. I had something else in mind. I sat there staring at my phone for what felt like hours, their words playing over and over in my head. Ketrin should be grateful. A pathetic failure. She's too soft to say no. I wanted so badly to believe it was a mistake. That maybe they were joking around. That I'd missed the bigger picture somehow. But deep down, I knew better. I knew exactly what I'd heard. And the worst part? They weren't wrong about one thing. I really was too soft to say no. How many times had I let them guilt me into giving? How often had I paused my own plans, my own dreams, just to make sure they had everything they needed? Dad's temporary money problems had somehow turned into years of me covering rent. My brother's college tuition? He didn't even finish school. Mom's endless emergencies? Always seemed to pop up right after I got paid. And I never once hesitated. I truly believe that's just what you do when you love your family. That it meant something. That they appreciated it. That they appreciated me. But that video, that one stupid video tore down every lie I'd been telling myself. They still thought I was clueless. And that was my edge. Sure, I could have texted her right then and there, let her know I saw everything. But what would that do? They'd only make excuses, spin it around to make me feel guilty again. So I let them think I was still their reliable, clueless little ATM. For the moment, that was fine by me. Because the next payment was coming up soon, and this time, things were gonna go a little differently. The following morning, I went about my routine like usual. But it all felt off. The sun still peeked through the curtains, coffee brewed like always, but something had changed. It was like I was watching my life from the outside for the first time. Then my phone lit up. A message from Mom. "Morning, sweetie. Just checking in. Hope you're doing well." I looked at the screen. The message felt too perfect. Too polite. She never messaged me just to check in. There was always something behind it. And sure enough, not long after, came the follow-up. "Oh, by the way, rent's due soon. Can you send it by Wednesday?" And there it was again, the same old cycle, playing out just like it always had. But this time, I wasn't just going to fall in line. I started typing a reply, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Normally, I'd say something like, "Of course," or "No problem." Sometimes I'd even throw in an apology just so they didn't feel like I was dragging my feet. But not this time. I deleted what I had typed and simply wrote, "I can't this month." I stared at that message for a second or two, then hit send. I set the phone down and waited. 1 minute. 2. Buzz? "Mom again. What do you mean you can't?" I could practically feel the irritation coming through the screen. I'd never told them no before. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I took a sip of my coffee and let the silence settle in. More messages started coming in. "Mom again, Ketrin, this is serious. We're counting on you. You know we don't have another option right now. Then my aunt chimed in. Hey sweetie, your mom's kind of freaking out. Everything okay? I almost laughed out loud. Everything okay? Sure, everything was perfectly fine, at least for me. I'd been footing the bill for their lives for years. And now that I pushed back even slightly, they were spiraling. Not once had any of them asked if I was okay, or if I needed help. It was never about me. It never had been. I took a breath and wrote back. I've had some unexpected expenses this month. I won't be able to send anything. Sorry. That was it. No excuses. No drawn-out explanations. And no apology. Then I waited. What happened after that said it all. The silence was louder than anything they'd ever said to me. For the first time in as long as I could remember, I had put my foot down, and they had no idea what to do. I watched the little typing dots appear, disappear, reappear, over and over again. My mom was clearly struggling to find just the right words. I could picture her sitting there fuming, trying to come up with the perfect angle to guilt me back into submission. And then the message came through. Mom, what do you mean unexpected expenses? What could possibly be more important than your family? There it was. The guilt trip in full force. Just like always. I didn't answer. Just let the message sit there staring back at me. Less than a minute later. Mom, you know your brother can't pay rent. If he ends up out on the street, that's on you. Of course the brother card. Classic. Then she followed with, we raised you, Ketrin. We helped you when you had nothing. And this is how you repay us. I felt my jaw tighten as I read that. Helped me? When I had nothing. They didn't lift a finger. I got myself through college. I juggled few jobs just to escape that house. And the moment I started making money, they latched onto me like a bunch of leeches, taking and taking until I had nothing left to give. My phone buzzed again. Aunt, Ketrin, sweetheart, don't do this. We're family. Your mom's just upset, you know how she gets. Just send the rent and everything will go back to normal. Everything will be fine? For who? I set the phone down again, my chest tight and my pulse racing. I needed to step away to breathe for a minute. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and took a long, slow sip. As I stared at the clock ticking on the wall, I could feel it, something shifting deep inside me. For so long, I'd been afraid of this exact moment. Afraid that if I stopped sending money, they'd hate me. That they'd cut me off and turn their backs on me. But now I realized something important. They never really loved me. They loved what I gave them. And the moment I stopped giving, they were finally showing their true colors. Another buzz pulled me back. I picked up my phone, hand steady. This time the message came from my dad. Dad, Ketrin, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is unacceptable. You're being selfish. This family needs you and you're acting like some entitled brat. Grow up and do the right thing. And there it was. The mask had finally come off. No more fake kindness. No more pretending to care. Just cold demands. I stared at the words, my heart pounding in my ears. Then another notification popped up. It was a voice message from my aunt. My hand shook as I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the play button. Something in my gut told me this one was going to change everything. I paused. Just stood there staring at that little triangle on the screen. She never sent voice messages. If she had something to say, she usually dressed it up in polite text. Her usual tone? Passive-aggressive, always wrapped in a sugary coat of guilt. She'd mastered the art of saying cruel things in a sweet voice. But this time, this voice message was different. I hesitated before pressing play. My thumb hovered over the button like it might burn me. Then I hit it. Her voice came through, sharp and impatient. Ketrin, listen. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but this isn't funny. Your mother's losing her mind. Your dad is absolutely furious. And honestly, I don't blame them. I felt a knot form in my stomach, but I forced myself to keep listening. Every word, every syllable felt like a test I needed to pass. You've always been, well, a little ungrateful. But this, she let out a tight, judgmental sigh. This is beyond selfish. I stood frozen in my kitchen, phone in hand, like a kid being scolded all over again. But I wasn't a kid anymore. You've got a good job, don't you? She snapped. You make more than any of us. You don't even need that money. Meanwhile, your family is struggling. And what, you just wake up one day and decide none of that matters anymore. There was a short, bitter laugh in her throat. You owe them, Ketrin. After everything they've done for you. All the sacrifices. They gave you life. And now what, you're just going to walk away? Pretend they don't exist? What kind of daughter does that? There was a pause. Just long enough to make me think she might be finished. But then her voice dropped. It was colder now, less frustrated and more threatening. You know what? She said, the sweetness completely gone now. If you really want to be that kind of person, fine. But don't expect them to forgive you. Don't come crawling back when you realize how much you need them. Because once you cross this line, there's no coming back. Click. The message ended. I stood there in silence. My thumb hovered over the play button again. My ears were ringing. My heart was loud in my chest, but weirdly my mind was quiet. I should have felt scared. I should have felt ashamed. I should have been scrambling to fix it. To apologize. To make it right. But I didn't. Instead, I felt calm. No strong. For the first time in years, I wasn't falling apart. I wasn't second-guessing myself. Because that message? It told me everything I'd been trying not to admit. They didn't love me. Not really. They didn't respect me. They didn't care what I was going through. I was a resource to them. A credit card with a face. An ATM with feelings they didn't care to understand. And now that I'd finally said no, that illusion of family, of connection, was unraveling in real time. Buzz? Another message. From Mom. Last chance, Ketrin. Send the rent. Just like that. Cold. Transactional. Not a question of how are you, not even a why. Just a demand. I stared at it for a long time. Then I made a decision. No anger. No breakdown. No dramatic moment. Just a quiet resolve. I blocked her. I blocked Dad. I blocked my aunt. 3 taps and years of emotional blackmail evaporated into digital silence. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was free. Or so I thought. Because the very next morning, there was a knock at my door. It was early. Way too early. The kind of early that made your stomach turn before your brain could catch up. At first, I didn't move. I stared at the door, hoping it was a mistake. A package. A neighbor. Anything else. But then came the second knock. Louder. Sharper. More urgent. My heart sank. I already knew. I walked to the door slowly, my fingers hovering over the handle. And then I opened it. Jim. My brother. He looked terrible. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair a mess, like he hadn't slept at all. His face was flushed. But it was his eyes that hit me the hardest. Bloodshot. Wild. Angry. And desperate. Are you serious, Ketrin? He barked. What the hell is wrong with you? His voice was sharp enough to cut glass. I blinked. Stayed calm. Good morning to you too. He scoffed and ran a hand through his hair. Don't start with that. Don't act like this isn't a big deal. You blocked everyone. Mom's freaking out. Dad's having a fit. You're really just cutting us off? Pretending like we don't even exist. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. I don't know, Jim. Maybe I just got tired of being treated like a walking wallet. His jaw tightened. Oh my God. Not this again. I let out a low, bitter laugh. Yeah, this again. Jim, I've been paying your rent for years. I've covered your bills, your food, even your gym membership. And now the one time I say no, Mom calls me selfish. Dad tells me I'm a brat. And you show up at my door acting like I set the house on fire. His lips parted like he was going to argue, but nothing came out. So I kept going. Don't even try to act like you care about me. I saw the video. His face drained of color. And for the first time in all of this, I saw it. Not frustration. Not arrogance. Not entitlement. Fear. Real, honest, oh my God, rear exposed fear. And I wasn't done yet. What video? He said, trying to sound confused. I smiled, but it wasn't kind. It was the kind of smile you give someone right before you let the final domino fall. You know exactly what video. Jim shifted, eyes darting to the side. His fists clenched at his sides. Look, Dad, he didn't mean it. It wasn't serious, okay? We were just joking. You're blowing it out of proportion. Joking? My voice came out quiet, but sharp enough to cut steel. You all sat around laughing, calling me a pathetic failure, saying I should be grateful to pay your bills, that I should consider it a privilege to support you. I took a step closer, meeting his eyes dead on. Do you have any idea what it feels like, Jim? To hear your own family talk about you like that? Like you're nothing more than a wallet with legs. He let out a frustrated breath and rubbed his face like he could scrub the guilt off. Ketrin, come on. No. I cut him off. This time, my voice didn't waver. You come on. You want money? Get a job. You want someone to take care of you? Try a therapist or a lottery ticket. But don't look at me. I'm done. Silence settled like dust in the air. He stared at me, jaw tight, shoulders stiff, and for a fleeting second, just a flicker, I saw something raw in his expression. Something like shame. Maybe even regret. But it passed. And when he looked at me again, the anger was back. You don't mean that, he muttered. I didn't blink. Yes, I do. Another beat of silence stretched between us. Then just like that, his face twisted, mean and ugly. Fine, he spat. You want to be a selfish B*TCH? Go ahead. But don't come crawling back when you realize you've got no one left. And with that, he turned and stormed off down the path like he couldn't get away fast enough. I stood in the doorway watching him go. My chest was tight, but my spine was straight. Because he was wrong. I did have someone left. I had me. I closed the door slowly, letting out a shaky breath I didn't even know I'd been holding. And as I reached for the lock, buzz, my phone lit up on the counter. I walked over, looked down. Of course. Her name on the screen. Mom. Again. I didn't pick up. Not this time. For years I'd been her safety net. Her backup plan. Her go-to solution whenever things got hard. She guilt-tripped me into thinking it was my duty to keep her afloat. But really it was all manipulation. Every call. Every tear. Every year the only one who can help us. Not anymore. I turned the phone over, face down, and walked away. Because I was finally, truly done. Done being the endless supply of money. Done sacrificing my own needs to keep everyone else comfortable. Done pretending their problems were mine to solve. They had never once asked how I was doing. Never checked if I was tired. Or struggling. Or drowning under the pressure of carrying all of them. I'd held their weight for years, my mother's anxiety, my father's temper, my brother's laziness. All of it piled onto me like it was my responsibility to carry their failures on my back. But no more. I was reclaiming my life. My money. My sanity. And for the first time I was doing it without them. But my silence didn't go unnoticed. The next morning as I sat curled up on my couch with a cup of coffee, the stillness felt heavier than usual. There was no chaos. No buzzing phone. No messages asking for rent, for bailouts, for one more favor. Just peace. And then, ding dong. The doorbell. I closed my eyes for a moment. Of course. I didn't even have to check. I knew that knock. Jim. Again. It was sharp, impatient, full of the same entitlement as before. But this time, I was ready. I opened the door slowly, keeping my expression neutral. Ketrin, he started, and for once his voice wasn't angry. It was something else. Worn down. Frayed. Almost pleading. You need to listen to me. I didn't invite him in. I stood in the doorway like a bouncer guarding my peace. I don't need to listen to anything, Jim. He blinked like he hadn't expected that. No, seriously, you don't understand. Mom's losing it. Dad's been calling me nonstop. They don't know what to do. You've just disappeared from all of us. I raised an eyebrow. Disappeared? I laughed. Dry and cold. You make it sound like I abandoned a helpless village. All I did was stop letting you bleed me dry. He shook his head, his voice rising again. You can't just cut us off like that. What are we supposed to do? Figure it out, I said calmly. Just like I've had to figure everything out since I was old enough to earn a paycheck. His face twisted again, bitter. You're acting like we've never done anything for you. Like we're all just users. I didn't flinch. Because you are. I've been the family ATM for years. You all took, and the one time I stop? You call me selfish. His anger boiled over. You owe us, Ketrin. Those words. Sharp and heavy. They might have crushed me once. But now? They were just confirmation. I shook my head slowly. No, Jim. I don't owe you a damn thing. I owe you. I repeated, stunned by the audacity. My voice was sharp now, trembling only with rage. I've given you everything, Jim. Rent. Groceries. Bills. I've covered it all while you sat on your hands and let me. And now you want to talk about what I owe. His jaw tightened. His fists clenched at his sides like he was trying to hold something in or hold something back. You'll regret this, he snapped. You'll regret cutting us off. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so desperate. No, Jim. You're the one who's going to regret this. Because I'm not the one who needs you anymore. And with that I slammed the door in his face. The sound was loud. Final. And for the first time in years it felt good. I knew the drama wasn't over. People like them never walked away quietly. But I also knew I had just drawn a line that couldn't be erased. That night, as I curled up in bed, my phone buzzed again. I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to check it. I already knew who it would be. But curiosity clawed at me. Picked it up. Dad. His message was short, cold, wrapped in guilt and coated with control. We raised you, Ketrin. Don't think you can just walk away from everything we've done for you. You're making a huge mistake. Come back. We'll talk. We can fix this. I stared at the screen, rereading the words that once would have made my stomach sink. But not anymore. This time I didn't feel guilt. I felt clarity. They hadn't raised me, they trained me. Trained me to believe my worth came from sacrifice. That love was conditional. That if I didn't give, I didn't belong. But now? Now I was rewriting the rules. I could have blocked him then and there. Tossed the phone aside and kept going. But I had a better idea. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make them feel every ounce of what they had put me through. I stood up, walked to my desk and opened my laptop. It was time to send a message they'd never forget. I sat there, fingers hovering over the keys, staring at the blank email screen. Then I started typing. Not in anger. In truth. I pulled every financial record I had. Bank transfers, rent payments, utility bills, grocery receipts. Years of proof that I had kept them afloat while they sank deeper into entitlement. I attached them all. Each one a reminder of what I had done. At the top of the email I wrote, "Here's a detailed summary of everything I've done for you over the years. I'm done being your lifeline. I'm not your ATM, and I will no longer let you guilt me into sacrificing myself to keep you comfortable. This is my final invoice. You don't owe me anything, except the realization of how much I gave because I believed family was supposed to support one another. I see now. I was alone in that belief. Then I hit send. But I wasn't finished. I opened the old family group chat. The one that used to keep me up at night with its constant demands, its guilt-laced messages, its emotional blackmail disguised as love. I scrolled through message after message. Can you help with rent again? We just need a little this time, promise? After all we've done for you. I took a deep breath and typed. You all talk a lot about what you've done for me, but you've conveniently forgotten everything I've given up for you. Here's the truth. You never needed me. You just used me. And I let you. But not anymore. I'm done. This is my last message. Don't contact me again. And I sent it. The silence that followed was more beautiful than I ever imagined. No buzzing phone. No pleading messages. No fake concern wrapped in obligation. Just quiet. I leaned back in my chair and let it sink in. For the first time in my life, I wasn't their puppet. I was free. They could keep their lies, their manipulations, their endless expectations. I had stepped off the stage and left their performance behind. But just as I was settling into the stillness, my phone buzzed again. One last message. Jim, you're making a mistake, Ketrin. You'll regret this. Family sticks together. I stared at the words, letting them sit there for a moment. Then I whispered to myself, not when family only sticks around to bleed you dry. And I finally powered off my phone. This time for good. I smiled to myself, slow and steady. Jim's words had been meant to sting, to drag me back in, to trigger guilt. But they didn't. Not this time. Because for the first time in my life, I was free. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their validation. And I certainly didn't need their twisted definition of family. I had my own life now. My own peace. My own voice. And that was enough. It wasn't the explosive finale I once pictured. No yelling match. No final showdown in the middle of a storm. No, it was better. Because this ending, it was quiet, deliberate, mine. I had taken back control without warning, without theatrics. And that's what made it so powerful. They never saw it coming. And now they couldn't do anything to stop it. That night I turned off my phone, placed it face down, and let the silence wrap around me like a warm blanket. There were no more games to play. No more guilt to carry. For so long I had sacrificed myself for people who never even said thank you. People who used love as a leash and loyalty as a chain. But not anymore. It wasn't the revenge I once imagined. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. But it was real. It was healing. It was mine. Now I could finally breathe. Now I could finally live for me. And in the end, that was the sweetest victory of all.